Greetings and welcome to the Astronomy Picture of the Day podcast. Today's picture for November 10th of 2025 is titled Micromoon versus Supermoon. So what do we see here? Well, here we see two full moons of this past year, and in fact the one on the left taken in April of 2025, that was the micro full moon. And then the one taken just a few days ago on November 5th of the same year, and that is the super moon. So why do we get this difference? Well, we can see that the structure of the moon looks the same and we can see the same patterns. That's because the moon always keeps one side locked toward Earth. So it rotates on its axis at exactly the same speed that it revolves around Earth, keeping one side facing toward us. But we can definitely see that the one on the right is a much larger moon than the one on the left. Now that's because while the moon goes around the Earth, it's not in a perfectly circular orbit. If the orbit were circular, then the moon would remain the same size. It would always be the same distance from Earth. However, the moon orbits in an ellipse, and that means there are times when it's a little closer to Earth and times when it's a little farther away. When it is closer, and we call that perigee, and we see that on the right, then it's going to appear larger in the sky. And that's the same as with anything else. The appearance of something will look larger if you are closer to it than if you are further away. Now, the actual size of the object doesn't change. Of course, the moon is still always exactly the same size. Now, on the left, we see the moon at apogee. And that, in that case, it is a little bit farther away and therefore looks a little smaller. Now here, when we look at them side by side, we can really see the distinct difference. If you went out and looked at either of these moons, you really would not notice that. Just looking at just the micromoon or just the supermoon, you really wouldn't notice a distinct difference in anything there because you have nothing to compare it to. So when we look at them side by side as we do here, we can see that distinct difference. Now, the amount of difference is relatively small, and we can see that the difference in distance between apogee and perigee is only about 50,000 kilometers. So it's about 50,000 kilometers closer at perigee, and that will make it look a little bigger, but that's only a 12 or so percent of the distance from the moon. So it's not a tremendous amount, but it does make the moon look larger, and we definitely see that here when we can look at the two of them side by side. Now we get several supermoons, and in fact had 3 supermoons this year, which are just the times when the full moon happens to occur when it's close to perigee, when it is close to that closest point in its orbit to Earth. And we can look forward to next year when we will again have 3 supermoons that will occur, the first of them right after the start of the year in January, and then we have a little while to wait until the end of the year when in November and December we will again have supermoons in 2026. So we can look forward to these, although you really won't notice the difference just by looking at it, but you have a chance to go out and see the full moon, which will be a little bit larger and a little bit brighter. So that was our picture of the day for November 10th of 2025. It was titled Micromoon versus Supermoon. We'll be back again tomorrow for the next picture, previewed to be Shaggy Comet Tail. So we'll see what that is about tomorrow. And until then, have a great day, everyone, and I will see you in class.